460 languages are spoken in the United States. 23% of all US children are children of immigrants. Nearing a quarter of all American physicians, scientists, and engineering workers are foreign, as are 47% of PhD level scientists. Now, why am I telling you this? Because I want you to understand that immigrants play an important role in American society. And because of that, they are often faced with difficulties. They stumble into a new culture. They have to learn a new language. It's like they're being thrown into a whole different world. Trying to assimilate into a new culture could have a negative impact on immigrants' psychological health. Hi, I'm Valentin, and I'm here to tell you why. Now, to answer this question, I had to do a lot of research. Research here, research there, research everywhere. And although I'm foreign, I don't know everything. But while I was doing my research, I found a lot of interesting things that I want to show you guys. So, first off, I want to show you an article written by the American Psychological Association called Helping New Americans Find Their Way. The article mainly talks about how immigrants could greatly benefit from psychological assistance. But as I came to read this article, I came across a very interesting paragraph. And I quote, "But their challenges are enormous. Not only must they adjust to new culture and language, as well as overcome discrimination here, many come to this country after having experienced multiple traumas such as war and other forms of violence in their countries of origin." Discrimination, trauma, war, violence. Shocking words, right? Words that envision fear and oppression that many people face. The article also talks about a very important clinical issue, a culture distress. And a culture distress is the result of navigating two cultures at the same time and trying to find balance between each one. This also affects future generations of immigrants because they grow up without that stress and develop a different understanding of the world, which later leads to conflict with their past generations. Public education is also a problem. Language proficiency is necessary for academic success, and yet language training is often insufficient. Children are often expected to transition out of language programs in under 3 years. While conducting my research, I came across a very intriguing video. A video by Dua Yasser, who talks about her personal experience as an immigrant and the difference between assimilation, separation, and integration. Now, I'm not going to play the whole video. I'm just going to show you a really important segment I really want to talk about.
W. Berry, titled Immigration, Acculturation, and Adaptation, presents 4 different acculturation strategies. These are strategies in which cultural groups and their individual members must cope with the issue of how to acculturate, which is basically how to fit into a new society or new environment. The first acculturation strategy is assimilation, and this is when individuals completely neglect their original cultural or religious identity and assimilate themselves into a new one. The second strategy is separation, and this is when individuals actually cling on to their cultural and religious identity and avoid contact with anyone else. The third and most preferable one is integration, which is when individuals continue to practice their own faith. However, they open themselves up to the wider society and incorporate different beliefs and ideas into their own culture.
So, there you have it. Now, let's talk about this. There are 3 words that should have stuck out in this video: assimilation, separation, and integration. Now, these are methods used by immigrants in order to acculturate, or basically try to fit into a new society or environment. Assimilation is when a person decides to completely ignore their cultural identity and assimilate themselves into a new one. Separation is when a person decides to embrace only their cultural identity and avoid contact with anyone else. This is a way for immigrants to instill a feeling of home for themselves so they don't have to cope with separation. And the last technique is integration. Integration is when a person continues to practice their own faith and religion, yet they open themselves to society and different cultural views. Integration is arguably the most desirable method, but it doesn't always work out. Now, I want to talk to you about an article I found written by Dr. Kathy Tsung Fei, who has a PhD in psychology and is the author of the book How to Keep Your Life, Family, and Career Intact While Living Abroad. Now, in this article, Dr. Kathy uncovers the topic about culture shock and illustrates the different stages of culture shock. Now, we start off with elation. When in a foreign country, one finds their surroundings much different than their own country. They start to get excited. Everything seems more lively, more exciting, different, if you will. Much like when I first came here. But as time passes, all the excitement turns into annoyance. And then we come across the stage of resistance. This is when a person gets irritated by the pace of life in their country. They get frustrated with the difference from their native country. At this stage, people often tend to associate only with others from their own country or religious group or ethnicity. They tend to compare everything to home. Resistance is the reason people remain separate from their local communities and form different little undisturbed communities. Up next is transformation. A couple of months have passed, maybe a year, and you begin to see the good side of the country. After months of living, you start to appreciate the lifestyle and cultural variety. Some people even reject their own culture and assume a completely new cultural identity. I'll let you decide whether that's a good or a bad thing. Enough with all the statistics and other crap I found online. I've always said that the best way to learn something is from other people who have experienced that very same thing. And for that reason, I conducted several interviews with my immigrant family and friends. Now, even though I wasn't able to get all the footage I wanted, I think I can still prove my point. Okay, so introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Bojan. I'm from Bulgaria. I'm Valentine Dat.
Okay, now tell me about your initial experience.
There is not much to talk about. At first I didn't know English very well when I came here. My most used sentence was sorry, I can't speak English very well. I was really stressed out.
I remember that. Okay, so what did you do?
I had to start work immediately so I could provide for my family. I wish I had studied English for a few months before I start work.
Why?
So I could find a better job.
Okay, so what happened next?
Well, I started taking English classes and now I can speak, I can understand English much better. And I found a better job.
Great, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Miglena, Valentine's mom. I was born and raised in Sofia, Bulgaria.
Cut. Okay, I'm sorry. Could we just zoom in on the piece of paper right there, please? Thank you so much. Okay, guys, let's just imagine it is not there. Just don't look at it. All right, cool. All right, chop, people, back to work.
My family and I moved in the United States in 2016.
Great, now tell me about your initial experience.
Oh, it was crazy, you know, I was really stressed. New people, new culture, it's a lot to take in. I remember one time I woke up in the middle of the night, not knowing where I was, and I couldn't believe that I was in a foreign country so far away from my home and family.
Yeah, I remember that story. Wow. So, what did you do in order to get yourself and your family more accustomed to this new environment?
Well, I decided to ban Bulgarian television and movies in the house.
I remember that. Why?
Because that way we can separate ourselves from Bulgaria for a while and get accustomed to the US. It also helped my husband and I to learn the language faster.
This is actually really smart. So, how are you feeling right now? Are you accustomed to the US yet? You like it?
Yeah, definitely it's definitely more calm here, which is something that my husband and I really like.
Great. Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome.
And finally, it's my turn. I moved here from Bulgaria, which is a small country in Eastern Europe, about 4 years ago. When I first came here, I was really stressed. I was worried what people were gonna think about me. I was ashamed of my accent and didn't want to talk much because I was afraid that other kids were gonna make fun of me. I really felt like a ghost walking through the hallways. I couldn't make friends because kids here are so different. I was scared I wasn't gonna fit in. But as time went on, I told myself, why care what other people think? And everything suddenly changed. I was able to find good friends. I wasn't afraid to speak anymore. But it definitely took a toll on my mental health. That still affects me today. So, what do we do about all this? What I gathered from all of this was that just don't be ignorant. Both immigrants and citizens of the U.S. Don't be ignorant. Don't neglect or discriminate against other cultures, ethnicities, religions. Don't try to help them or embrace them. And if you don't want to do that, just don't bring negativity towards others. Now, immigrants, you're now citizens of the world. You have moved into a completely different country where there are hundreds of different religions, races, cultures, whatever you can think of. Don't live in the past because you came here for a reason. Now, if the language barrier is a problem for you, I think I might be able to help. What helped me a lot was thinking in English. Don't think in your own language all the time. I'm not necessarily saying only think and communicate in English. No. Just whenever you're doing like a project for school, you're trying to fix something, just try to, little things, try to think in English. That really helps you better understand the language, form sentences. It really gets all the gears in your brain turning and such. But yeah, so there you have it. Although many people better their situations as time goes on, immigrants are often put through tremendous amounts of stress. Adapting and integrating may be very difficult to achieve. I've seen people unable to handle the stress. A dear friend of mine moved back with his family to their home country because they just couldn't bear the stress anymore. A lot of immigrants say that they moved for a better life, but the amount of stress and anxiety they go through to achieve that better life could really impact their mental health in a very bad way. So yeah, that's all I have for you guys. There's bloopers if you want to watch. Oh man. I can't do this. Well, dear God, help me.